Faith Parker stared out the window of her small studio apartment, the rain creating trails on the glass that mirrored her feelings. She was tired of being alone and tired of the empty conversations that came with modern dating. At 33, she thought she'd be settled by now, maybe married, maybe with a child. Instead, her days were filled with work at the art studio where she taught painting classes to kids. The evenings stretched endlessly, filled with silence and the hum of the city outside her window. Her best friend, Amanda, had convinced her to try 90-Day Love Lake, an app designed for people looking to establish serious relationships within a set time frame. Faith was hesitant. "Do you really think I'll find someone genuine on an app?" she had asked Amanda over brunch. "It's not like the others," Amanda insisted. "Greg and I met on it, and look at us now." She flashed her engagement ring with a smile. "Just give it a shot. What's the worst that could happen?" Faith gave in that night, creating a profile. She uploaded a simple photo of herself smiling at the park, dressed in a cozy sweater, her auburn curls falling loosely over her shoulders. Her bio read, "Art teacher looking for someone who sees the beauty in the small things. Lover of coffee, sunsets, and quiet moments." Messages flooded in within hours, but most were unremarkable. Then she received one that caught her eye. "Hi, Faith. I love your bio. It feels like poetry. I'd love to hear more about the beauty you see in the world." The sender's name was Loren. His profile photo showed him standing by a serene lake, his face partly hidden by a baseball cap, his smile shy but warm. His bio read, "Appreciating life's details, seeking someone who shares my view of the world." Faith replied, and a conversation began. Loren was charming, funny, and thoughtful. He asked questions about her art, her students, and her favorite books. Faith and Loren texted constantly over the next few weeks. Their conversations flowed naturally, with a mix of humor and depth. Loren seemed to understand her in a way few others did. But then little oddities began to surface. One evening, Loren asked, "Do you ever use your feet in your paintings? Like as part of the subject?" Faith laughed. "No, I mostly focus on landscapes and portraits." "Why do you ask?" "Feet are fascinating," Loren replied. "They're these overlooked works of art, carrying us through life. Don't you think?" Faith hesitated. "I've never thought about them that way," she said, unsure how to respond. From that moment, Loren's fascination with her feet became a recurring theme in their conversations. "What kind of shoes do you like wearing?" he asked one night. "Do you ever walk barefoot outside?" "Your toes must be beautiful. I can just tell." Faith brushed it off at first, chalking it up to a quirky personality. After all, Loren was an artist too. Maybe he simply saw beauty in unusual places. But the comments became more frequent, more specific. Faith started to feel uneasy. Despite her reservations, Faith agreed to meet Loren in person. They decided on a small cafe downtown, a place Faith loved for its cozy atmosphere and soft jazz music. Loren arrived first, sitting at a corner table with a bouquet of daisies. Faith approached nervously, her heart racing. "Faith," he said with a smile, standing to greet her. He was taller than she expected, his brown eyes warm and inviting. Their conversation started well. Loren was charming and engaging, sharing stories about his childhood and his work as a freelance illustrator. Faith found herself laughing and relaxing in his company. But then Loren's fixation resurfaced. "You have such graceful hands," he said, his eyes lingering on hers. "I bet your feet are just as elegant." Faith stiffened. Thanks," she said, forcing a smile. Loren didn't seem to notice her discomfort. "I can tell a lot about someone by their feet. Yours must tell an amazing story." The rest of the evening felt strained. Faith tried to steer the conversation back to safer topics, but Loren's gaze kept drifting downward, fixating on her sandals. When the date ended, Loren insisted on walking her to her car. As they stood by her vehicle, he hesitated. "Faith," he said softly. Faith blinked. "Touch what?" "Your toes," he whispered, his voice almost reverent. A chill ran down her spine. "I don't think so," she said quickly, getting into her car. Faith decided that was the last time she'd see Loren. She sent him a polite message the next day, thanking him for the date, but saying she didn't feel a connection. Loren's reply was immediate. "What did I do wrong? Please, give me another chance." When Faith didn't respond, the messages kept coming. "You're perfect for me. I can't stop thinking about you. You're ignoring me, but I know you feel it too." Faith blocked his number, but Loren found her on social media. He began commenting on her photos, particularly ones where her feet were visible. "You have the most stunning feet I've ever seen." Faith set all her profiles to private, hoping that would stop him. But then the gifts started arriving. The first was a box of sandals in her exact size, along with a note, "For your perfect feet." The second was a jar of foot lotion, labeled, "To keep them soft." Faith's anxiety grew. She confided in Amanda, who urged her to go to the police. One night, as Faith was cleaning her apartment, she heard a knock at the door. Peering through the peephole, her heart sank. Loren stood outside, holding another package. "Faith," he called softly. "I just want to talk." Faith froze. "Go away," she said through the door. "Please," Loren pleaded. "I need to explain. I didn't mean to scare you." When she didn't respond, Loren's tone changed. "You think you can just ignore me?" he shouted, his voice trembling with anger. "I've done everything for you." Faith grabbed her phone and dialed 911. "There's a man at my door who won't leave," she whispered to the dispatcher. As the operator assured her that help was on the way, Loren banged on the door one last time before storming off. Days later, Faith received a call from the police. Loren had been found in a nearby park, deceased. He had taken his own life. Among his belongings was a journal filled with obsessive writings about Faith. Page after page detailed his belief that they were destined to be together. Faith was overwhelmed with a mix of guilt, sadness, and fear. Despite his unsettling behavior, she hadn't wanted this outcome. The story made local news, framing Loren as a troubled man who had been consumed by unrequited love. Faith's name was not mentioned, but the experience left her shaken. Faith moved to a new city, hoping to leave the ordeal behind. She started therapy, working to process the trauma and fear Loren had left in her life. Though she began to heal, the scars remained. Every unexpected knock at the door, every package delivered, sent her heart racing. But over time, Faith found strength in her art. She poured her emotions into her paintings, creating works that reflected her journey from fear to resilience. One day, as she stood in her studio, sunlight streaming through the windows, she realized she was finally free. Loren's story had ended, but hers was still being written.